What's up guys, Sal here. So the best thing Samsung has done recently is to work closely with Qualcomm and go all in with the Snapdragon chips for the S23 lineup. For those of you living under the rock, Samsung used to sell their flagship in a 2-chip configuration. The US, Canada and China used to get the Snapdragon variant, while the rest of the world used to get Exynos. Snapdragon chips were superior to Exynos both in performance and efficiency. So after years of constant complaints, Samsung finally decided to let go of Exynos and use one superior chip for the S23 lineup. As expected, everyone was happy. However, it looks like Samsung is gonna flip the script with the Galaxy S23 FE later this year. We finally have a credible leak of the S23 FE, which is from Sam Mobile, and they say the handset will launch later this year in Q4, which is good news because they are confirming that the handset isn't cancelled. But what is not good is the choice of the chipset. Samsung will use a year-old chip for the S23 FE, and it's not going to be the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, but instead the awful Exynos 2200. And what's interesting is that the S23 FE will use the Exynos 2200 chip in all markets, including the United States, Canada, and China. If you don't know, the Exynos 2200 chip is the reason Samsung decided to go all in with the Snapdragon chip on the S23. Samsung last used the Exynos 2200 on the S22 lineup, and the chip performed poorly both in performance and battery life compared to its counterpart, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. In fact, the performance disparity between the two chips was so big that the 8 Gen 1 was easily 2 generations ahead of the Exynos 2200, which is shameful for Exynos because it came out at the same time Qualcomm launched the 8 Gen 1. So Samsung using the same awful chip again on the S23 FE would mean this phone is gonna perform poorly in the context of the latest flagship phones. Anyway, Sam Mobile has also revealed other specs of the phone. The phone will get an upgrade in the camera department and will feature the same camera specs as the S23 with a 50 megapixel main camera. The storage configuration would be 128 and 256 GB with 6 or 8 gigs of RAM and 4500 mAh of battery with 25-watt charging support. South Korean media is also revealing the price, and it's gonna be a little cheaper at $599, which is $100 less than the S21 FE and $200 less than the S23. With that being said, I honestly can't see a reason why anyone should bother about this phone anymore, because this is basically the Exynos variant of the S22. If you really want this phone, then just get the S22. You'll get it for much cheaper than $600. The Exynos chip makes this phone even more horrible. Really, if you were looking forward to buying the S23 FE, do yourself a favor and get the S23 or S23 Plus instead. It has a way better chipset that is at least 4 generations ahead in performance than this Exynos crap and has great battery life. I usually don't advise people to not buy something, but this phone is something you should stay away from. The S23 Ultra is getting this huge software update. To know more, click here and I'll see you there.